Hi there, my name is Aliyah Selah, and this is Astro Insights. I'm really glad that you came here to check out what I'm doing this time. It's a very special one. I am doing a happy birthday gift to Johnny Depp with some of the transits he's been dealing with and also just his basic natal chart. But mainly I'm going to be talking about his Jupiter returns, which he has had some and some are coming. He's coming up for his fifth one. And also his Saturn return, okay? So this is really intense, okay? His Saturn return was the day before his court case on the 12th. It was on 11th of April. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And that is such a Saturn thing, because what Saturn is about is really owning up and taking responsibility and turning lemons into lemonade by being proactive, and that's exactly what we saw him do. So I really feel that it was a message for all of us. I think that it was a human and civil rights gift that he gave us to walk inside the courtroom and see how law works. I don't know about you, but I'd never really done that before. And it was amazing. And what I came to see is that it is fair, at least in Virginia. There's places where it is fair and the jurors do matter. And I was just learning the whole time. And although it was uncomfortable, I know for Johnny, he gave us such a gift. And that's why I'm giving this to him. And to all of you, if you want to sing happy birthday to Johnny, I thought we'd start out with a happy birthday song. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Johnny. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Okay. Happy birthday blessing there to Johnny, the man who gave us our human and civil rights on the council culture. Yeah, because it's happening all over the world. And there's ways that we need to stand up and fight this. And we didn't really know what to see. So that's what this is about. Beautiful Johnny gave us so much. And I just want to say that the verdict happened on June 1st. And June 1st is like right when there was 5 planets lined up across the sky. So we have Mercury at the bottom, which is communications and travel. And Mercury went direct on June 3rd, which is, like I said, the morning of June 3rd is when this happened. So Mercury at the bottom was going direct, while Saturn at the top is going retrograde. And it's Mercury, planet of communications, and it's also that Mercury is going into Gemini the day before the full moon, which is happening on the 14th of June. So there's a lot more playful energy. Geminis are can be childlike, but child playful-like, and can be telling jokes and having fun. It's, the summertime. We have all this summertime energy coming out. So it's a good time to really embrace the energy that's happening with Gemini, that's happening here in the sky as it goes towards the solstice. Where we're heading towards is Cancer. So for now, really enjoy this Gemini energy that we have going, because what's happening with that solstice is that Venus is going to go into Gemini. So that's on the 13th, the day before the full moon. So Venus is receiving energy, it's yin energy, and right now it is conjunct, which means next to Uranus, which is sudden changes, in Taurus. And Mercury's been there too, and it will be there until, as I said, it goes into Gemini on the 13th. So we have these 5 planets lining up. We got Mars, which is giving energy, and Mars is there with Chiron, which is the wounded healer, and Jupiter, which is expansion and could be overindulgence at times, and it's in Aries. Now, Aries is some beginning innovative type energy, pioneering, and seeing how you can run ahead and see what needs to be done. So there's some good fire energy that happens with Aries, and it can be short-tempered. So just be aware of that. With Jupiter, it can expand in that way as well. We've got Chiron, the wounded healer, and I feel that that was really a very big mark for Johnny, who, bless his heart, exemplifies the wounded healer, as so many of us do. And I think that that's what he was helping us to see with this arc across the sky. We have also Saturn, which just went retrograde on the 4th. So now it's going to be retrograde until the October 28th. So we got a lot of time to kind of go through that and figure out what's going on with that whole thing. And what I found is that this is a community, that's bonding and getting stronger, healing our community wound together. I mean, community builds skills, that we need right now. We need to build our community and make it stronger, and get into, how we get along, which I think for me is the brilliance of Johnny Depp. Everyone likes him, and they tried to go collect and get some dirt on him, with a private eye, and they all said wonderful things about him. Nobody could say anything bad. He was always generous and humble and kind, and that is, his respectful nature that, helps everyone to feel appreciated. I mean, it's his genius, and it was his vulnerability too. So that's what we're going to be doing as we look at this, verdict that happened, and then 2 days later, boom, we got a line up in the sky leading up to the full moon. So here we got a lot of interesting things going on here with his Saturn return now is in Aquarius. And the first Saturn return he had, we all have, and you don't need to know astrology to know this. You just need to know how old somebody is. It will be exact if you know the astrological time of when it is exactly for a person, but it's approximately 28, 29, let's say 30, turning 30. And it's about us really taking responsibility for ourselves and owning our faults and things that we need to work on about ourselves, not blaming other people, and really improving ourselves. And this is a responsibility that you have to make the best of yourself, and that's the honor and the integrity that you do it for. And if you do it for honor and integrity, and just knowing that compassion and kindness is a better way to walk this earth, then you're going to have some really good things happen to you at your Saturn return. It doesn't necessarily make it a negative thing. And what's so interesting about Johnny is that, he has a Saturn return right before his court case. And what he has is 30-year-old friends. He has friends that have stayed with him all these years. Now, what you have, just so you know, that there's 3 different cycles if we're lucky enough to live 100 years. So the first one, as I said, 28, 29, and we'll say turning 30. And that is the fool's journey, or owning up to who you are and taking responsibility for developing into your best self, and all that means, in this world, a lot of different things for how we are placed in our world. And we have our 20s to kind of go through anything we need as a young adult, and then suddenly you feel it. Even if you don't know astrology, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm turning 30, I'm an adult now. It's kind of undeniable. And so that's the first one, is to really be on the fool's journey with owning up to who you are and what it is that you want to take responsibility for, and developing into your best self. So then the second one, 58, 59, or 60, and that's what Johnny's just gone through, his second Saturn return. So the second Saturn return is like going through the cycle again. And if you want to think about the math, there is 4 7-year cycles to make 28. So I can often use that when I don't know a person's time. I could kind of figure out things happening in their life and figure out what might have been a likely time for them to be born. So there are techniques if you don't know your time. Don't worry about it. But it's always best if you do have your time. That's the first breath. And it's very important to know this whole Saturn cycle, because have you ever heard of the 7-year itch? I mean, it's real. It is real. And what it is there's like all the different numbers have their meaning. 1 is unity, 2 is polarity, 3 is balance, 4 is stability, 5 is, instability that is necessary, 6 is a pattern that you get into, and 7 is the test for 8, the rebirth. And then, of course, we have the number 9, which is very mystical, and it's that's rebirth, and then, becoming the wise one. And 10 is the completion. So that's in Tarot. You may have different numbers and numerology understandings, but that's how I made my own tarot deck, Transparenting Tarot, and that's how I organized it. Okay, so you have their third Saturn return, if you're lucky enough, 98 to 99 and turning 100. So it's wisdom to share. And I just want to say Albert Hoffman lived to be 102, was public speaking. I actually got an email to him. He developed hydrogen, which saved my life, my brain, and I took it for 10 years and it made me a whole lot smarter. So he said there were 3 things that made him live very coherently till he was 102. And that is, he took the hydrogen, which is now called ergoloid mescalate, which is now something you can get with a prescription that oxygenates your brain. So it's a very good thing to have on hand. And then he said it was floating. And then he also believed in the incline, 75-degree incline for whatever period of time. I don't know how much floating or how long he did the incline, but those are the 3 things that he said kept him young. So there you go, Johnny. Little note to you. I think hydrogen would really help so many people, and I have a lot more to say on that, but I'm not going to say because I'm focusing on Johnny. And Johnny's got an amazing chart here. This one is the Saturn return chart. As you can see, Saturn is lining up to Saturn. So that's Saturn there, and it's lining up. That's the exact Saturn return that he had for his court case. So there's some other things that have been happening to him. These are all the other things that were happening at that same time as his court case began. But, I don't want to, I could go on and on and on about this, and believe me, I have some other things to show you. So I just want you to know that he had a lot of cosmic forces that were helping him, because karma is real. And if you put out good energy, you will have a lot of karmic forces helping you. Honor, integrity, that's the thing that we all know is very important. Now here, this is kind of cool. His Saturn return is Saturn goes retrograde. It went retrograde, remember, on the 4th, went retrograde. So Saturn is going to go farther from where it was, closer to his actual Saturn return. The closest that Saturn is going to get to his 13 degrees 58 minutes is his exact Saturn. So the closest it's going to get to it is 8 degrees 43. That's going to happen on July 28th. And I'm interested to see what films might be penned by July 28th. Just remember that I said that, and if you're watching this, Johnny, remember that that's a time for you to get a little more payback, because again, you have handled your situation in many ways, but there also will be other karmic things that have come up. I'm not exactly sure how that will play out, but at this time, the other influences that are happening are he has Chiron, which again is the wounded healer, in the sky on his Jupiter in Aries. So that's going to be an influence. And also for July 28th, 2022, he's got some other things that are lining up here. Just wanted to make sure. Oh yeah, this it is. So South Node is on his Neptune. South Node is what we've come to teach. And I really believe that he is helping the film industry. I think that he's coming out and saying, yeah, there were men that were boys, men that were raped in this industry as well. And this is not a women's industry. It's not a women's issue. It is a human issue. It's a human rights issue. Nobody should be violated. And everybody should be believed, And I said this before, really, if there were psychics in the courtroom, it might have taken a lot less time. But nonetheless, we'll be there one day. I really think so. The last thing that I wanted to say is that, let's see, there's some other things that are going down with him. He's got his Venus and his Mercury. Again, that's his Venusian speak that he does in Taurus. Well, that's where Uranus is going to be. Uranus is sudden changes. So I would say that there will be some sudden changes, but that doesn't mean they're bad. There could be some really good ones. So let's pray for that. Anyways, I'm saying that there'll probably be several films, and we've been hearing about several films, and maybe even the Pirates of the, Caribbean. I'm just saying his daughter should play his daughter. That's all I'm saying about that. Maybe I'll start a petition. Okay, next I want to talk about this. Now, this is pretty intense. I went ahead and did this really long understanding because, first of all, understanding that Jupiter is a 12-year cycle. Okay, so that means that every 12 years, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. Okay, so that's the one that's coming up next for Johnny, is his fifth one as he turns 60, which is going to be, he just turned 59 on the 9th. So that's another year. And that's going to be his fifth Jupiter return, which is, Jupiter can be a really wonderful time again. It can, really bring a lot of good things to you. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And we'll also say that, there's 7 Jupiter returns equal a Uranus return. So that's at 84 years old, right? The 7th one. Well, 42 is the opposition to a Uranus cycle. So it's halfway, right? And if you remember, in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, I think it was, they asked what the computer said, what's the secret to the universe? And what was it? 42. And that's because 42 is your midlife crisis. Okay? And doesn't mean it's going to be negative things. Sometimes people are just like, you know what? I hate this job. I don't want to do this anymore. And they go and they change their life into something else. And bless them for doing that. It's a wake-up call. At 42, with this Uranus opposition, people are like, I have to be true to who I really am. Maybe they did things that other people thought they ought to do, or maybe they did things that they thought they ought to do. But at that point, if it doesn't sit well with your soul, you will change your life, or your life will change you. The way that all energetic things happen in the celestial world is, if you're paying attention and you're really adjusting to what's going on, then things will come to you and you will make them better and grow. But if something happens and you freak out and fall apart, and then you have other opportunities that you miss because you're freaking out, and then it has another timeline that kind of unfolds for you. So that's why I study astrology, so that I can understand some of the things that are going on for all of us, so that I can be helpful. to perhaps let people know, oh, you're 42? Well, this is going on. And they're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And you can say, you know what? It doesn't mean that your life is falling apart. It means that you are breaking through to what is really meant for your life work. And maybe you haven't been doing your life work for whatever reason. We have wonderful reasons why not, and perhaps it's just timing, and at that point your life is ready, and you are ready, and the two meet, and you have a whole nother calling. And I have a concept of calling as when you find your calling, it's because you've been doing things you love to do, and then you end up with all these skills of things you love to do and all these, things that help you do it. And suddenly you end up in a place where they're like, whoa, I need all those things. I need all those skills. Wonderful. And you're like, that's why I prepared. Now, you didn't happen to actually know where you were going to end up with all this preparation. You were just doing it because you love it. But then you ended up in a place where they need what you have, and boom, that's your calling. So that's my understanding of calling. And then destiny over free will. Let's talk about that one for a second. So destiny is when everybody's acting out their free will simultaneously. And then we have a certain destiny with each other. Okay? So basically the destiny that we have is to grow. That's our destiny. And some of us refuse our destiny and we don't want to grow. But most people really do want to grow. And as we grow, you can see that in the chart. You can see the lessons you've come to learn and how, your archetypes to express this lifetime. And you get to choose how you're going to express it. And if you choose this way or that way, you get free will the whole time. So astrology does not take away free will. It actually serves it. Because if you have the ability to know energetically what's happening, you can make better choices. And as a musician, I used to always book gigs according to astrology and events and stuff. And, I've always done that because why not? If you think that it's going to be energetically a better time for everyone, I think it's really a good idea to do it. And so I want to say here that what I have is this understanding that Johnny, he's a lover. He is a lover, and you see how much he loves to love by following through all of his girlfriends here. And what I found was that's how I timed a lot of his astrological stuff and his age by who he was with. But, he married at 20. And that's somebody who loves to love, not looking around trying to, be with as many women as he could. He really wanted to have a family. And I think that's part of the community wound we all share. We get a chance to make our own family when we grow up. And, if we've had a hard childhood, that is exactly what he wanted to do, whichever way he ended up doing it. Bless his heart as a musician, blossoming into this amazing artist. And I just want to say that his chart has some really wonderful things here that I just love this. Okay, so I did talk about his ability to communicate. First of all, he's got his sun in Gemini, which is the planet of communication. So he's got a lot of ability to do all the roles and change characters and stuff like that because it's very playful. He loves to play. And so he has that ability. And then the Venusian energy with Mercury is how he communicates. So it's very loving and soft-spoken and humble and, because of the earthy energy of Taurus. Okay, well, then he has over here Uranus, Mars, and Pluto, all in Virgo, which is more Earth sign. Now, what's so cool about those is that I believe it's his powerhouse. He has this ability to focus his Mars energy with the depth of the Pluto energy and the sudden excitement of Uranus energy. And he brings it forth with his Mars energy. And that, I believe, is what makes his characters just totally come to life. is that ability, all those 3 planets in Virgo, which is very grounded and very focused on details. So he's very focused on details, but he has that Mars energy, which you want to give with the sudden surprises and the depth of Pluto, which is intense energy. But that's what a character needs. You need to understand the depth of that character. And I think that that's his gift, you know, with what he has been so beautiful at giving us with so many different characters that he loves to play. So I think that his also he has his moon in Capricorn. Now, moon in Capricorn can be quite serious, and he said he was an introvert for most of his life, and that kind of makes sense. That it would be a response to a negative home is to kind of go inward and be more stoic as much as possible. And he's got a south node there. So that's kind of was his gift, to be able to self-comfort with his guitar and really not let it change his karma. You know, he went after his dream. He said, I'm not going to let the life that I had get in the way of the life that I want, you know? So bless his heart, that's what he did. Now, what I've done is I've seen how he's lined up his relationships, and, you know, he was mostly engaged. I mean, this is a serious love connection that he had with certain women. And I just want to say a few things here, because his first Jupiter return is 12 years old, and that's when he got his guitar. That's his first Jupiter return. His second Jupiter return at 24 is when he was married to Cheryl Feen, and he was really starting to get known and stuff. Things were happening for him. And then he was interested in Jennifer Grey for about 9 months, also engaged. And that's when he was 27, which is kind of starting to see, you know, the Saturn return isn't really till the 28th or 29th of the year. But, you know, if you're sensitive, you kind of have some stuff happen, you know, kinds of stuff that's you facing your energy and your, you know, things and whatnot. Well, then we have Winona. Okay, Winona was definitely a different kind of love. He was really deeply, deeply in love. And that's also during his Saturn return, his first Saturn return, age 27 to 30. So this Saturn return is, like I said, about really owning up who's taking responsibility for who and all that. Now, what's interesting, okay, so he breaks, I'm not sure the timing of when he broke up with Winona, but that's in 93. In 93, he opens the Viper Room in August, and then River Phoenix dies there in October, also 1993. So there's some real stuff going on there that's intense, that probably, if anything, I would say Johnny didn't want to involve Winona and almost broke up with her to protect her. I don't know exactly what went on, so I'm just speculating, but I kind of feel like, you know, he really had to, you know, care for her in a lot of ways, and he was just going through too much. And so, yeah, we heard about Ellen barking about him, and kind of somebody, he just was looking for more of an adult energy, I think, and that's why he considered her, but there was no chemistry there. So he was really clear about that, and good for him for knowing that, because next he meets Kate Moss. Now, this is in 94 to 98, and, you know, that is right when he was 31 to 34, that age, and they have an 11-year difference. And I'm actually doing a chart comparison of Johnny and Kate that I'm going to be doing later on, that I've been preparing, because they have some very interesting connections. They both have Leo rising. She has her sun in Capricorn, so sun moon. And I think that it would be very healing for him to connect with her more, whether they get together or not, just because I think that she's a grounding force for him when he was so much a grounding force for her, because when they first met, his they had a lot of stuff that she was going through. Her Chiron was right on his Jupiter, so it's just a connection that they have, that now she can pay it back by being there for him in this very vulnerable time in his life, where he really needs a friend, somebody who can count on, someone who is a real adult and won't be playing games with his head. And so I would really like to see him at least take some time to hang out with her. And then another one is Vanessa. Now, Vanessa really loved him, and I think that, she wanted her career, now that her kids were getting older, to pick up again. And that's what happens a lot of times to moms, when they have their kids and the kids grow up and they really want to get back to what they were doing before they had kids. And I think that he did have the whole family in the Yoga Hoser movie, and it was adorable. They all did such a great job. And I'm just putting a little thing out here that if Johnny does do the Pirates of the Caribbean 6, I think his whole family should be in on that one too. Vanessa should get a part, and his son, Jack, and Lily Rose, I think, should be his daughter in this film. That's what I think. And I think it'll be very healing for him, because at this time, he's really healing 6 years, and having this be like a homecoming for him, with a lot of people, maybe cameos coming in who are his friends and stuff. I can just see it being a wonderful celebration of his life. And perhaps, I don't know, maybe they'll meet some Indians and they'll learn about brotherhood and sisterhood, and they'll convert, and fall in love with a nice native tribe person. And I'd love to see that for Captain Jack. Not sure that's where you want to go with the character, but just putting that out there. Anyways, so we have, this to look forward to now. At 42, what age did he have? That's the thing. That's what I want to ask. And guess what? It was during his time with Vanessa that he went through his Uranus opposition, okay, at 42, because he was with her from 31 to 47. So at 42, which is 5 years before they broke up, they had some stuff that they went through. Just because his Saturn, he'd gone through his Saturn return, and then you kind of, that's at 30, and then you kind of go through this thing where you're kind of leading up. You have, 12 years to, what are you going to do with your Saturn return? And that 42 is a very important time to really understand what it is. And that was in 2005 for him. Okay, so anyways, then we go to Amber Heard, who he met in 2009 on the Rum Diary film. And then they were engaged in 2011. That was when he was 48. And then they married in 2015, and were married to 2015 and 16, when he was 52 to 53. And she released her op-ed at 55. And I did a whole video on this. And if you want to see the compared charts of Amber and Johnny, you'll see what was going on with her chart, and one of the reasons why she wanted to play the martyr. But that's just a sneak preview. You can go ahead and look at that. But the trial is when he was 58 at his second Saturn return. So it's some, interesting things that you see these things line up. And of course, I could go on and keep talking about it. But what I want you to know is astrology really helps us to get along and to look inside ourselves and figure out what do we really want, in our world and for our life, and how can we contribute. those are the things that a learned person would learn when they learned astrology and astronomy, which I also am very interested in astronomy. And these are just a few things that I've done. I did one on the Gemini new moon that happened at 9 degrees on May 30th. And then also I did the Sagittarius full moon, which is coming up. That's June 14th at 4:52 a.m. in that specific time. And then I'm going to be doing one for the solstice, the summer solstice, which is at 4 degrees. It's going to be that the moon is conjunct Jupiter. And then the next day, Venus goes into Gemini as, the sun enters Cancer. And that's again 2:14 a.m. on June 21st. So then coming up, oh yeah, it is June 28th. It's the new moon in Cancer. We'll have Neptune go retrograde. That's our visions and stuff. It's time to review. What are our visions? Okay, the moon is going to be square Jupiter, which is some emotional stuff could come up, some expansion and growth from our emotions, and then manifesting thrush, just an energy to go forward with these visions that we have. So then the full moon is going to be in Capricorn, July 13th at 11:38 a.m. And I'm going to be featuring more relationship alchemy ones that I'm going to be doing Johnny and Kate. And we'll see the relationship alchemy between those two. And then I'm also going to talk about how we can raise our kids more effectively with astrology. And then, of course, how it helps our whole community. There's kind of like this rapid expansion of Jupiter, which is expanding, Uranus, which is having us change and reevaluate things. So it's a reevaluation. And Saturn goes into Aquarius, and the Saturn in Aquarius is about a regenerative focus for our garden planet. So I hope this was a good session for you. Happy birthday, Johnny. We love you. I'm so happy that you won. And it's really a symbol for so many who are seeing that the world is really changing now. And we're seeing how much we all are one big community. It's time for community transformation to heal our planet and to heal how we connect with one another. Thank you so much, and blessings. Peace.